Welcome to the stay-at-home family.
Today's episode is how to help your kids start a business.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Stay-at-Home Family. I am Shannon Blackwell, and today we have a really cool guest. Her name is Dawn Peluso, and she is a homeschooling mom. She's been homeschooling for over 9 years now. She is the owner of Schoolin Swag, which is a homeschool resource. You can find her on Facebook. She has lots of really cool curriculum reviews, really great homeschooling ideas, and just a good resource for homeschooling families. So welcome, Dawn. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So the topic that I wanted to talk to you about today was starting a business with your kids, because I don't know how long it's been, but several years ago, your oldest son had started a business, and I just thought that was just the neatest thing. Can you tell us how you got started?
So my son was very interested in making some spending cash for all of his hobbies and the extra things he wanted to do. And he's a child that really likes to be active and busy and doing something all the time. So creating a business for him was a good way for him to channel that energy in a way that was productive and help him reach his financial goals. He started with selling eggs from the chickens that we raise, and that earned him a little bit of money, but he wanted to do something more. So he started his own lawn care business.
Very cool. I didn't know about the lawn care business. That is really neat. So do you think that there's a certain age or maturity level that you would start off starting a business with one of your kids?
I would hate to give it an exact age because I think kids are very different and businesses are very different. Certainly a maturity level is important. They need to be committed to it, because you don't want to disappoint customers or get into something that then mom has to add one more thing to her plate.
Right.
I think we've all been there. So having the maturity to stick with something and to talk it through. And things like his eggs, you really don't have to be very old though. I mean, I think a 7 or an 8-year-old that was committed to taking care of their animals could easily start that business. His lawn care business that he moved up into, obviously for reasons of needing the physical labor, and it was more work. It was a lot more hours put into it. I would expect would need to be a little bit older.
And for his lawn care business, did you guys front money for him to help him buy his materials, things that he needed for it, or did he kind of have to save up and do that on his own?
We let him borrow the lawnmower that we had for a little while, but he had to put a portion of any money that he earned into an account. And after about a month or two, he was able to buy just a little used push mower for like $50, I think. And he also, we taught him to put money aside for gas. He had to put gas in his mower and those expenses. So we did help him by loaning him equipment to get going, but then he's been independent since.
Maybe a year or two ago, you posted about a curriculum that we looked into. It was called Kingdom Code, and it talked about how it was kind of a biblical way to start a business. Can you kind of elaborate more on that?
I will. It was a really neat program. It's designed to take you from not having a business at all to running a business. We didn't find out about it until Matthew had kind of already started his business, but it was a great way for him to learn more about some of the more complicated things that he hadn't gotten into yet with budgeting and different fine details about businesses. It is designed to help you with a service-based business, although it could be used for making stuff, but the idea is that most service-based businesses don't cost as much to get started, because
Right.
you don't need all the materials. So, you could be a dog walker or a babysitter or lawn care, and it's not as much to get into. And each lesson would have biblical principles relating to money or hard work or different skills that you would need. And then it would also talk about a different aspect of the business. You would brainstorm ideas. And then once you had chosen one and had an adult approve it, so a parent or a mentor, then they designed a business plan and marketing materials, slowly took them through the different steps, but made sure that it was founded in good biblical principles of being trustworthy and honest and tithing part of the money and all of those things.
That is so cool. That's something I really want to get into. And you feel like he benefited from that even though he had already started a
I
business?
do. I think he learned a lot, and it helped him realize there's so much to having a business. And in a good way, you can start small and you don't necessarily have to get into all of the things right when they start, when they're, children, but having exposure to business plans and the different ways that you can market. And it even had him surveying the different people to see what they would be willing to pay for services. So he had an idea of what the demand would be
So when he first got started with the chickens, were there any unforeseen challenges that he faced?
Well, I think one of the biggest things was that he had to get used to is that with the chickens, eggs aren't always consistent. Some months we get lots and lots of eggs and some months we don't. And he had to learn not to overcommit before he had the actual eggs, because he would have repeat customers that would want, 2 dozen a week, and it would be fine all summer long. And then when they would start to molt or the days would get short, he had to figure out who was going to get eggs and who was not going to get eggs. So he learned to work through that. And I think just having to remember that he had to be consistent about taking good care of them and bringing the eggs in and doing everything that he needed, even on the days that maybe he didn't feel like it.
Right. Right now, my son has started a mealworm farm, and he's very excited to sell these mealworms. And he already has all of his friends. They all know about these mealworms. Well, it's been about almost 2 months, and we have yet to have actual mealworms come from these beetles that he has. It's this whole counting your chickens before they hatch thing, and hoping something good will come out of this. I guess having this expectation that your business could fail as something that we have to talk about constantly. Like, you may not get any eggs, and this may just be a fun experiment. It's good life lessons that, not everything we do will succeed, but it's still that pursuit of the hope of something. What about with his lawn care business? Were there any things that he ran into that were obstacles on that front?
Well, I think there were a couple things. One, he had to learn that with that, the weather is really key, because you can't just schedule around the other things in your life. You have to schedule around days that are sunny and not rainy, because you can't cut grass in the rain. He also had to deal with like losing customers, not because he had done anything wrong, but like one family moved, and so then the people that moved in, they wanted to cut their own grass, which we certainly understand, because we don't pay anyone to cut ours, but he had kind of planned that income more than he should have. And so then he had to find some other way to make that income back up. And then he had to learn a lot about lawnmower maintenance, because a couple of times he'd have problems with the lawnmower and he was dependent upon it to get his stuff done, and he couldn't afford to just go buy a new one. He had to learn how to fix it. Thankfully, my husband was able to help him with that, because I would have been not much help with the lawnmower maintenance.
We've interviewed another homeschooler, and because she was homeschooled, she had more opportunity to work school around her schedule, and she had more of an opportunity to start something like this. Do you think because y'all homeschool that it's easier to work in these kinds of extracurriculars that normally he wouldn't be able to do if he had to be at school until 4 o'clock?
Oh, absolutely. We have some kids that live down the street, and when school was on regular schedule before COVID or whatever, there were days that they would get on the bus in the morning before it was light, and they didn't get home and get on the bus until after it was dark, which would certainly cut out doing any kind of lawn care in the afternoons. And his season starts very much by March or April. People are starting to want the grass cut, and if he was doing that long of school and then still had homework and other obligations, I don't think there's any way that he could have done it. But as it was, like if it was going to rain in the afternoon and he really needed to get a lawn cut, he could cut the grass in the morning and do his schoolwork in the afternoon. Or there were times when he would take a whole day off of school and take care of several lawn care jobs, and then just do more school a different day that week. I mean, the flexibility is huge for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's just so many benefits to homeschooling. And I know you guys, this is kind of a side note, you guys are involved in so many extracurriculars that are school related, but they get to pursue so many different passions that they are interested in because you homeschool. Can you just tell us some of the cool things that you guys do on the side, like that are homeschool related? Because I just love your life. I love all the things you guys do.
So we enjoy 4-H. It's probably one of the things that we're most active in. Through 4-H, we have some regular club meetings. The other thing they love with 4-H is showing livestock, kind of related to the chickens, because they actually sometimes show chickens, and then also pigs and goats and turkeys. And we use that as part of our homeschooling as well as extracurricular. We feel like it teaches a lot of responsibility and that the hard work, and this is what it takes to get to where you want to go, kind of thing. So that's a big part of it. And it's some real life math skills. That and the business too. I mean, when they say, well, I don't know how I'm going to use this, and you can say, well, you're already using it over here.
Right.
It really helped.
When you think about kids graduating from high school and having spent so much time at school, the opportunities that we have for them, but also the work experience. When your kids go into the professional arena, they have legitimate things that they can put on their resume, that they've started a business, that they have customers, that they've done all these amazing things. I just think it's so valuable for our kids to be able to put that on their, I don't know, resume, transcripts for college.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how do you guys handle the money as far as what he's able to do with his money for things like reinvesting it, saving for unexpected things that you weren't expecting, like a broken lawnmower or other issues? Do you guys kind of give him free reign of those things, or do you help him do his budget?
So we sat down when he started, and mostly he and my husband sat down. Chris kind of helped him see the things that could happen. Your lawnmower could break. You're going to need a fund for that, and you're going to need, think about all your expenses. And so he listed all of those, and it was also a part of Kingdom Code. One of their worksheets helped him to list expenses. And in our family, we tithe, so he was used to that from any other money he had gotten. That 10% came off the top, and he didn't figure it into anything else. And he was able to kind of take those numbers and his goals and decide what portion of the money would go to what. And so at this point, he puts part of it, his tithe goes to the church. He puts part of it into a savings account that is for lawnmower maintenance, gas, things that he would need soon. He keeps a little bit in his wallet for fun, because you want to reward this hard work. If there's no reward, it's not good. But then the rest of it, he has a college fund, so then he puts a portion of it into that, and he kind of decided on his percentages with a little bit of guidance, but that way he gets to have fun, but he's also working towards some real life goals.
That's really awesome. I love that. And I love that you have him putting money aside for college and having him plan ahead for that. I think when he gets there, he's going to know, this is money that I put into this. This is something that I am investing in. I think that's really neat. My last question is, any big things that you guys learned from this experience, and do you recommend other mamas to start, or families to start this with their kids?
I really think it was beneficial for my son, and my daughter is in the process of trying to follow in his footsteps, not with lawn care. That's not really her thing. She tried helping him once or twice. It's not her forte at all, but she doesn't mind working. So she's kind of looking to see where she can use her skills to start her own business. She's been doing a little bit of sewing and selling some things as well. But I just feel like they learned so much. Last year, we were struggling a bit in algebra, me and my son. I think it had been a long time. But in talking to my husband one day when I was kind of at my wit's end and stressed that I was somehow messing him up because algebra.
Right.
My husband said something that really stuck to me, and I think ties into this. He said, but Dawn, he's ready for the real world more than a lot of kids that are graduating high school. He did eventually learn algebra, and we've moved on. But he knows how to run his own business. He knows how to budget his money. He understands the concept that if you want it, you've got to work really hard for it. He understands that, it's important to follow through and to be trustworthy with his customers and with people. There's so many things that he has that maybe aren't all because he did this business. I think we've tried to instill those values in other ways, but it's just a very real world experience for him to understand what it's going to be like as an adult.
Right.
And, our big jobs, aside from preparing them and hopefully teaching them in the Lord so that they're ready for eternity, the second part of my job is to prepare them for their adult life. And I think that this really helps with that.
What would you recommend for moms to get started? If you had to start all over, like with your two littlest ones, how would you start this whole process?
In our house, you have responsibilities, which are jobs that you do because you're a part of our family.
Right.
And you live here and you get to eat our food.
Right. And sleep in our bed.
I'm not paying you to clean your room because I'm giving you a room.
Right.
With clothes and all sorts of stuff. But we also had other jobs that we were willing to pay for. Not always a lot of money, especially depending on the age, but early on we wanted them to understand that hard work earns you money that you could do things with.
Right.
And so that might be that Mama didn't want to wash the windows.
Right.
and you needed to earn $5 to go do this event that you wanted to do. So here's some windows. Have fun. And that way it gives them a chance to learn without customers that could get upset or just, they're learning in a safe environment. And
Right.
then we stepped it up to a business where they were dealing with people outside of our house.
Right.
So I think that's one easy way to start with them is, especially if you have littles, is in the house with
Right.
things that are extra, kind of building them up from there.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's a really good point. And that's why we do some of those things is to kind of, we're, like you said, we're teaching them about real world skills in the comfort of our own house where they can mess up, and we're there to kind of help them through those mess ups. So that's really great. Dawn, thank you so much for meeting with me and talking to me about this. This is really fantastic. I think that so many people are going to be blessed to start something like this with their kids. And I think that they can really learn a lot from this conversation. So thank you for meeting with me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
To find out more about Miss Dawn and Schoolin Swag, you can find her on Facebook or her website. Links in the description below.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and thestayatHomeFamily.com. Like and subscribe. Thank you. I love you.